So Monday was self-respect, Tuesday was self-understanding, Wednesday was not harming oneself, and today the topic is benefiting oneself. And the Buddha taught for the benefit and welfare of others. He wanted benefits for people. That's what his whole career, his whole dedication was, for people's welfare and well-being. And to be a follower of the Buddha is then to take those teachings in so that we can better ourselves, so that we can, for our own welfare and happiness and for our benefit. And this is something that I was a little bit slow to come to in my Buddhist practice because of maybe practicing in Zen where this was not emphasized. In fact, maybe it was even discouraged that when one would practice for kind of a self-benefit of experiencing happiness, joy, well-being, but somehow this sense of well-being found me as I kept practicing. And I've come to really appreciate how powerful it is to have a sense of well-being. It's a kind of reconditioning of our psyche, of our neurons, of our muscles, a reconditioning of our mind and heart. And not all of us have had great conditioning in our life. So the influences on how we think, how we understand ourselves, understand the world, how we feel, are not necessarily that which brings welfare and happiness and well-being. And so one of the ingredients for developing a really healthy sense of well-being is not so much doing it directly, but rather indirectly by creating the conditions for well-being, for benefiting ourselves. And classically in Buddhism, such a talk would always refer to the importance of living an ethical life. That if we can live ethically, and then that can be nourishing for ourselves. That itself is a form of nourishment, as a form of inspiration, it's a form of goodness. But that's not automatically so for many of us. And so for our ethical behavior to be nourishing, we have to appreciate the underlying goodness of a dedication of living wholesomely, living ethically. So it might be hard to actually do it, but to live one's life with that dedication, with that love for an ethical, wholesome, skillful life, that is a powerful thing. And to appreciate that intention, that commitment, not so much that you have to do it intellectually, but rather, ideally, that desire, that wish, that movement towards living an ethical life is itself coming from a place of inner goodness, of inner well-being, it touches something inside of us that has a rightness to it, a wholesomeness to it. And it's that wholesomeness we begin discovering inside that the practice can grow and develop. To sit and many people don't discover this through being ethical first, but rather through meditation. That meditation is a kind of first a deconditioning by relaxing and not being so caught up in our mind streams of thoughts and reactions. We're beginning to take some of the power behind some of our old conditioning, some of the old habits of mind that we have. And so there's a kind of a deconditioning process. And the calmer we become, stiller we become in meditation, the quieter the mind becomes in meditation, the more it's actually a deconditioning process, letting go of old habits of mind that are maybe not serving us. Many ways in which we have rumination and way people think is actually unhealthy. It undermines us, it debilitates us, it drains us, because if the thinking is so negative or stressful. And so as the mind gets quieter and stiller, there's a deconditioning process. And then it can be replaced with wholesome thinking, wholesome desires, nice ways of being. Or to say it differently, as we get calmer and more subtle, some people there discover maybe first as a little seed, a glimmer, a feeling of this feels wholesome. This feels there's a goodness in this. There's a happiness. There's a sense of well-being that comes with just sitting here, where just being alive is enough. Just sitting here breathing and letting go of all the past conditioning or the reactivities of the mind. A mind doesn't have to be fed by, the heart doesn't have to be fed by external stimuli, other people, things, doing things, recreational opportunities, TV shows, food, drink, all kinds of things. The mind can be content and happy. The heart can be content and happy without searching and wanting and getting outside. It's almost as if we let go of all the conditioning, the harmonious flow of energy within, the harmonious flow of the heart and the mind has a feeling of health in it, healthiness and goodness and joy and happiness. So to start getting a feeling for that from meditation, from the ethical impulse, um, uh, and then to appreciate that glimmer of well-being, that which is nourishing within, that which is wholesome, that which has a quality of happiness and goodness in it, to appreciate that and value it enough that we stay close to it. And a very important moment can happen in Buddhist practice where some good quality of inner life, and I say it that vaguely because different people identify different things, but something that feels a good quality of heart, quality of mind is experienced, and one begins to see places where there's a choice, whether to leave that behind by getting into a reactive mind again, or coming back and staying close to it and nourishing it, supporting it, not giving it up, staying close and allowing it to grow. It is like a seed that we want to, like a gardener, to nourish that seed, to water it, to fertilize it, to protect it, so that delicate and fragile little plant that's a sprout can grow and develop. And so this point comes in Buddhist practice where we have a reference point for this, some kind of inner well-being. And then the opportunity is there to stay close to it. Not tight, not fending off the world and shutting down from the world and becoming a hermit, but it's just staying close and living our life from that place, going into the world, being with our people, but have that as a reference point. And one of the ways to have a reference point is to have it is what I'm going to do now undermine, detract from this nourishing place I've discovered? Or is it going to enhance it or develop it? Or just keep it steady? It requires mindfulness. It requires a willingness to keep paying attention to it and come back to it and stay close. And in the process, we'll learn a lot about ourselves. We learn a lot about the subtle ways and not so subtle ways that we lose that we kind of bypass it, the way we pick up stress and tension in our body and mind and heart. And that's a very important learning, that we have to learn that. So rather than feeling, bad about oneself, that one gets stressed or tense or reactive, from that nourishing place is, okay, here, this is what I have to work with. This is what I have to understand and learn with. I have to see this so that I can find another way and find the places of choice to not give into that too easily. And so we're looking for, where's the well-being? And then to do the things in our lives that create the conditions for it to be there. So rushing and being in a hurry is not conducive to cultivating this inner well-being. And just that one thing, to dedicate a life, plan ahead, plan your days, consider your priorities, maybe do less things, so that you can stay close to what is nourishing and supportive for this inner growth. If we're rushing around and do too many things, that cannot be there. It's kind of like becomes eclipsed, and it doesn't have a chance to grow. And initially, that might seem like the other things you're doing, rushing around to do, are more important than our own welfare and well-being. But over time, you'll see that this is probably the most important treasure you have, most valuable thing you have. It's more important than money and relationships and jobs and all kinds of activities you might be doing. Not to dismiss the importance of those things and to importance of having them, but to not be involved with them at the expense of losing this connection to what benefits ourselves, connection, this inner goodness, this nourishment. And the paradox is that as this inner goodness or nourishment or inner benefit grows, our relationship to the external world improves dramatically, and it becomes richer and more valuable. Rather than losing the external world, the inner goodness touches some of the best qualities of the external world. So, so benefiting oneself. We're allowed to benefit oneself. Not only are we allowed to do it, but we're encouraged to do it in a way that's not selfish, the way that's not, but that really nourishes and supports the freedom, the joy, the happiness, the goodness, the well-being that can flow from within. So the Buddha taught for the benefit and welfare and happiness of all beings, including you. And so it's okay for you to pursue your own well-being. You're doing so, you're following the Buddha's wishes. May you find great well-being. May you thrive in well-being, in dharmic well-being. May the Dharma bring you much joy and happiness. Thank you.